Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back down the rabbit hole. My name is Monty Hook and I'm your host. And today I'm joined by Dominic Rapson.
Yes, sir.
Dominic, just a brief bit of background into how we know each other. We do have a mutual connection, but we actually spent some time surfing together in the Mentawai Islands. And I had the pleasure of getting to know you as a person, but also your expertise in health, nutrition, movement, etc. And I actually learned a lot from you in that trip. And I wanted to bring you on the show because what you talk about, your main kind of theme is maybe a little bit controversial in some circles. He's the meat guy, the carnivore guy. But just so everybody knows, I'm not advocating any particular one. You know, I'll interview vegans, I'll interview carnivore people, I'll interview whoever. But the idea here is to open up people's minds into different modalities, different things. So I'll give you one small example. So one thing I picked up from you was that over the years I haven't been eating that much meat, and I've been going through this injury, 3 broken ribs, and your suggestion was now is a good time more than ever to be consuming collagen, right? And whilst it might seem controversial, you're a carnivore guy. Well, that's an obvious bit of wisdom, which is good for me at this time of my life, right? So in a nutshell, just give us the snapshot into your background. How did you end up talking about this kind of stuff? And you're just, if you can encapsulate your expertise, I guess.
Cool. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be here as well, and for sharing that about me. I'm glad you managed to take some bits away. As you can see, I'm just like yourself. I'm not pushy, not preachy, just looking at the truth of what happens. And I'm pretty much been following this way for 3 years now, which I've been on a very strict, what I like to call it though, is an ancestral relationship to food rather than carnivore. But everyone has ended up just calling me carnivore because that's the movement, right? Or now my nickname, the Meatador, and all of this stuff. But as you saw with yourself, just some references here, looking for is the truths in what I do. That's what I've been doing for the last 3 years. But I've got 7 years total in nutrition studies and nutrition experience. Started off as a bodybuilder, so I used to be much larger than I am now, and
which is already massive.
No way, I can look at you as well, man. But anyway, that's another rabbit hole, right? About size and aesthetics, which we might cover.
Definitely.
But just found out that from experience and from working as a trainer and working especially with a lot of female clients that wanted to be on the bikini fitness scene, we weren't very healthy. So we were fitting the category of fit looking, but sick inside. And I found out quickly that that wasn't the route I wanted to go. So I stopped competing. I went more into calisthenics, which is something I ended up coaching and competing in as well. And from there, I went into a more of my, well, now I'll call it like new age spiritualism, but I was searching for really the truths around what it's like to be a human of light and such. And so I got deep into the yoga world, acro yoga with my partner at the time, and that led me down to veganism. So I was vegan for 2 years. I learned a lot of Ayurvedic. I spent a lot of time with Bush Rastafarians who practice a lot of this, learned a lot of these herbal ways and permaculture with them. But my health started to decline. So I was always a hunter, and I had given up hunting because of this new search for doing the least harm. And I had to give it up, and I went back to hunting, back to mostly spearfishing, and started to go back to eating meat and getting more in tune with nature, which I thought I was doing, but I learned that this was actually more of that. And then gradually eating meat again led me to tribal studies. So while I was starting to then do courses in nutrition, I was like, this allopathic, this way of learning nutrition still doesn't seem to be quite fitting. It doesn't seem to be correct. So I started to look more ancestrally. I started to go more anthropological and spent some time with different tribes around the world when I got the opportunity to, thanks to different connections and just being adventurous. And I started to see the way they lived, and they were probably the most spiritual, healthy people I'd come across that were so in tune with nature and its rhythms. And
where was this?
So various different places. So I'm originally from Brazil, so I'd seen quite a lot from there. In the Bedouins of East Africa and Northeast Africa, Also the Gaelics of the Northern Scottish Isles. Some of the other ones would be the Arawaks of the Caribbean, and also the Bush Rastafarians. I wouldn't call them quite tribal, but yeah. And I'm looking into doing more with, like, I want to get more with the Raja Ampat tribes here as well. I also want to do the Siberian and the Mongolian. So there's still chapters I haven't got to yet, but so far from what I'd seen and my studies of the first Indians, the first Africans also, a lot of it is meat central. And that led me to studying Dr. Weston A. Price, which taught me a lot about the indigenous cultures all over the world and the differences which we can... It's a very heavy subject. We'll go down the rabbit hole of that as well. But from there, it got me onto this pattern of eating that I call ancestral. And then I got more into the ketogenic side and the paleo side. And when I got registered as a nutritionist and as a holistic coach, I studied the principles of the Czech Holistic Institute. I decided to start working...
That's Paul Czech.
Paul Czech, yeah, Paul Czech. So I studied from there, and he taught me a lot about metabolic typing, blood typing, and I went deep into that as well. I did a lot of studying, Dr. Diadamo, a few other guys. But I started to see that there wasn't biochemical truth there. So I then started studying deep biochemistry, each chemical compound in its own specific role and the organs. And from that, it gave me a huge boost in confidence to work with certain diseases. And my heart, which came from physique, bodybuilding, all of this stuff, nature, was set on disease, because we're seeing diseases rampant. I'm known for performance, but I always work, and I still do work with disease. And I got the opportunity to work with family and friends before I even started working with a lot of clients that trusted me with severe conditions, chronic, degenerative, autoimmune, you name it. And since doing well, it shifted me onto being, wow, there's something really powerful here that's being overlooked in nutrition. And it led me to creating Origins of Vitality Nutrition. Yeah. And now here I am, eating mostly just meat and stepping more into that kind of nutrition world.
Yeah, so I mean, what's really interesting to me, I guess, my curiosity comes from human optimization, I would guess. And one of the conversations we had when we were away was, I actually think that so many people have never actually felt good. Like, they've never had the experience of actually having real vitality.
That's right? I love that word, yeah.
And one of the things that attracts me to you and your work and has me want to listen to you is the way that you are with your fitness and your mobility is like it's really next level, right? If you were just a bodybuilder, just a big meathead, and you just ate meat, right? Well, then I'd be probably pretty inclined not to not to listen to you, right? But it kind of occurs to me that you're very well rounded in lots of different nutrition modalities. So it's not like you've just clinged on to meat and then it's like, yeah, that's my thing. It's like you've studied so many different things. And then when it comes to the body as well and your fitness regimes, etc., you've done a lot of it as well. And yours is really, your focus is really, having a real bulletproof body, right?
Yeah.
And now you work with a lot of sports athletes as well.
Trying to change, as you said, I really appreciate that as well. To say those things means a lot to me. That so well-rounded is feeling the experience to me is the main thing, and you can't have an opinion until you felt the experience. And I've done things that I don't agree with just to know, right? And yeah, now I'm working with a lot of big professional athletes in a range of different sports. Mostly now my thing seems to be NRL. Yeah. I have a lot of people pushing me into the NRL scene.
That's the National Rugby League in Australia, if you're not familiar.
And rugby union as well.
And these guys are weapons. Like, they're putting their bodies on the line probably more than any sport in the world.
Well, I mean, they're already genetic freaks, right, with a lot of skill. But what my whole practice in life, which is selfishly for myself, and I find that out because I want to be the best. I want to be outperforming everyone. I want to live the longest and still be performing that way. So what I like to say is to die young but as late as possible, right? Yeah. And I'm trying now to put this into the mainstream of sports. I want these athletes to not just be pumped up with supplements and all kinds of stuff and to just eat processed food whenever they're out. And, because a lot of these guys, like, they're eating McDonald's and
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff.
Well, because a lot of them are young, like early 20s, even late teens.
Yeah.
And you can get away with anything at that age. It doesn't matter
you
what
could
you
build
do.
muscle eating mud and doing
Yeah,
whatever there,
exactly.
which you see. But so I want these guys to have longevity. I want them to be past their 30s, 40s, still able to play, still recovering. And, you're a great inspiration for me as well. And you're out surfing, you're out living your best life.
And I'm 65 years old. 42.
Yeah,
but-
right. But even for that age, like the way you're performing and the way you look, it's like how many friends or how many people do you know that can compare to you right now as well?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, no, I mean, my goal is, it's really just in my 40s that I really feel like I'm scratching the surface. Like, I feel like I am getting better, and I can get better for many, many years to come. And I'm excited. And that's why I'm super, curious. And I'm kind of almost a little bit obsessed with, high performance and nutrition. And, there's a lot of experimenting that I do as well. Like, I'm probably not one of those extreme people. Like, I've done vegetarian for sure, vegan, I've done it for a short amount of time. I've never done the meat thing, like full meat, not sure that I would. But I've tried everything, and I like taking snippets of what works for me and then embedding it into my life. So we'll go into some of the specifics of some of the nutrition, but before we do that, just want to introduce people to this. This is a business of yours, right? Coconut culture.
yeah.
So just a quick, give us a quick
lowdown.
piece on this one.
Like so much that even everything wants it. Nature wants it back. So coconut culture started from actually a friend of mine. There's 3 of us together who are passionate about health and community. So coconut culture is the culture based around this island life, this way of being. And what we have created is, think about Pocari Sweat or Gatorade meets kombucha, but without all of the chemicals, the stabilizers, the artificial stuff, and without all the sugar from kombucha.
So this is made purely just from coconut.
So it's
so
it's the cultures, symbiotic cultures of fungal and bacterial cultures, which is then fermented with the coconut water.
Yeah. So it's a kefir.
You could call it a kefir, like a coconut kefir. So you can see it's fizzy.
Yeah.
And we try and figure out the right balance between.
So this is the first time I'm trying this, by the way. So this is putting yourself on the line. Cheers. No, I mean, you were saying before that some people give you feedback that this is, it's not sweet enough, or it's like.
Some people either go, "Oh, this tastes like the ferment."
No, this seems really neutral to me. This feels
Excellent.
really
That's what
neutral.
we're going for. So we want the right amount of fermentation that gives just a good amount of probiotics.
Yeah.
And we're not kidding ourselves. Like, if you think that any of these probiotic drinks are re-inhabiting all of your microbiome all the time, don't kid yourself. Like, only a little bit is going to make it through the stomach acid.
Yeah.
Right? So this does help with the stomach acidity and digestion. And it does help with things like everyone comes in, gets barley belly and stuff like that. It does help with that. But the main thing we're going for with this is that it hasn't got all of the sugars. As you can see, it's not sweet. It's just neutral. It's refreshing, so you don't get a sugar crash and you don't start to feed fungal activity too much.
Yeah.
But it's got the isotonic minerals. This is where we pride ourselves.
Yeah.
We're using the natural coconuts of Bali here, the organic coconuts. And when you drink this after you've been surfing, training, mobility, yoga, massage, sauna, wherever you're losing all of these minerals, sodium, potassium, magnesium, this is helping putting it back.
Yeah.
And that's what we pride ourselves on.
Yeah.
So dehydration, doing sports, this is a natural way to get it back with some probiotics.
Yeah. It's good. I like it, man. So whilst we're on this topic of the gut and probiotics and salts and all of this, obviously there's a lot of conversation these days around gut health, right? It's a major topic, and it's seemingly it's the source of so many concerns, so much disease.
Yeah.
What's your take on that? What have your studies led you to?
So I've worked with a lot of disease in the gut. Most diseases stem from the gut. Most diseases are a symptom of chronic inflammation that the body builds up over time. It takes years for these to build up. The body's so resilient and intelligent. And that's why people like us, we love it and we dedicate ourselves to making it be as resilient as possible for as late as possible, right? So the thing I have is that I studied the gut a lot, and it's the key studies of any biochemical standpoint. Any nutritionist should have studied the gut first. Fortunately, that's not the way it's going at the moment.
Yeah.
But you get a lot of people that call themselves gut specialists and blah, blah, blah. The funny thing is that there's no such thing as a gut specialist. I've worked with Crohn's, I've worked with diverticulitis, I've worked with colitis, I've worked with normal IBS, standard stuff, the permeability. 98% of the population has permeable guts. And it's something we learn in holistics. But there's no gut experts. Nobody has a freaking clue what's going on in there because...
But you've studied Ayurvedic, right?
I have had Ayurvedic studies,
It seems to me that Ayurvedic is... They're probably as close as I've come to in terms of understanding what I need to do for my gut to, like, in terms of what foods that I need to change to make everything better.
Still far.
Yeah.
Still far. Like, we really haven't got a... We haven't got a clue.
Yeah.
Most of the bacteria is being isolated or tested in, like, tubes kind of style clinical trials and such. And most is just recorded from how people feel and such. Or we have a look inside the gut. But it's very difficult to take those creatures out. And we're predominantly made up of them. So to take them out, they don't survive. It's very hard to do the testing. So we don't know very much. Now, they're saying that... It's so funny. They're saying that, like, this bacteria needs this and this one needs that and this one is supposed to be more or not. It's very hard to tell because we've had so many carnivores, different clients that have done tests on their biome after being 3, 4, some 10 years just carnivore, just meat only. All of the flora is intact.
Yeah.
Every single microbe that they say only feeds on fiber or glucose and such is still there in perfect quantity. So do we really understand which one's what?
Exactly. And will we ever know? Will we ever know is the question.
Who knows? But the thing is that we do know there's certain things that do damage the gut lining and that makes certain fungal activity grow. And we do know there's certain things that help fix it.
So what are the obvious things for people? Because obviously so many people deal with gut issues, they have symptoms, and then even people who don't have symptoms, they still need to look after the gut. So what are the top things that people should be doing, and what are the top things that people are doing wrong that is, destroying the gut?
So the gut's a second brain. I mean, some things fall in nutrition, something fall in holistics. That's why actually 80% of what I do is holistic work. The 20% is carnivore. That's really the difference there. So eat whatever you like or eat as much meat as you want. But if there's certain underlying root factors in your lifestyle or your environment, you're still going to be in trouble. And this is what people like doctors don't put these things together. So gluten, everybody, pretty much the whole population is hyper-inflammatory or hyperallergenic to gluten. Gluten is the protein that holds energy for the new wheat, the new plant to grow. This wreaks havoc in our gut and causes a whole host of inflammation. Excessive fiber intake. So fiber scrapes the linings of our intestines and starts to separate the linings, making permeability. But also the fiber causes fermentation. And the human body only has a 2% capacity to ferment that cellulose, that fiber, into saturated fat.
So it works in the right proportions.
Yeah, I would definitely say that having too much fiber, especially if you've got a compromised gut, you're doing a lot more damage. Yeah.
So what are the top things that people should be doing to maintain? Because I mean, it kind of occurs to me that so much of health and wellness industry and medical is just all this. It is diagnosing a symptom and then finding one particular thing. It's like, well, how can we try to fix this right now with this one thing? I mean, the way that I live my life is, like, I've been to the doctor once in 5 years, and that was because I had a burst eardrum and I got an infection from that. Right. And it's the only time I've taken antibiotics, and it's the only time I've been to the gym, to the doctor. Right. But so many people just believe what the doctor says, and the way I live is it's a lifestyle. It's longevity. It's all about what can I do compounded over time. I'm not looking for quick wins. I'm not looking for quick gains, for quick fixes. That's my mentality.
Yeah.
What I mean, first of all, why is it that everybody's not thinking like this? Right? Because it seems to me to be a healthier approach. And what are the top things that people should be doing with their nutrition and their health?
Okay, I mean, one bit of that is a rabbit hole that probably goes to the other side of the planet. But, I mean, you follow the money ladder as well, and that's why you see why a lot of the allopathic way is symptom-based, right? They're not really trying to look, like, leading back to, like, the holistic side and what people should be doing, to not go too deep into that bit right now, is that they're overlooking things like just common stress. If you're stressed and you've got constant cortisol in your body, rising, and you're working off your adrenals and you're fatiguing all your glands, you're in sympathetic fight or flight, your intestines don't have time to repair, but don't have time to fully assimilate food, to digest food. So think if somebody's in that stress mode from environmental things, from relationships, from work and such, and every time they eat, the intestines aren't having a chance to fully break down everything and fully utilize and then heal itself. And that day after day after day. So the first thing a doctor should ask is, well, how stressed are you?
Yeah.
What's getting in your way? And even before, like, whatever you want to try, whether you want to eat loads of fiber, vegan, or anything like that, main thing, how stressed are you? Is your body following the natural circadian rhythms, following the natural rhythms of cortisol, melatonin, everything that's needed to heal, regulate, and switch between the autonomic nervous system? Most people aren't switching. They're in constant one mode, and and they're doing that year after year. Your intestines are going to fall apart.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying before, is that's the normal for a lot of people. Like
That's the norm, yeah.
They've never felt that real vitality. And I think if people got a taste of what real vitality felt like, it's like you'd never want to go back.
Could be probably their focus in life, right?
Yeah.
I would think so anyway.
And one of the things that I'm definitely aligned with you on is taking these ancient wisdoms, like how people used to live. I think it's really arrogant of modern humans to think that we know better. Like
come in there and tweak it.
Yeah, let's just come in and let's just forget about how people lived for thousands of years and how people healed themselves for thousands of years.
Yeah.
And medicine,
and more resilient back then.
And nature. Let's just forget about nature and let's just make something out of, let's just manufacture something in a laboratory and just go above nature. I think on so many levels it's very unhealthy. Obviously, there's the physical aspect of, taking a drug over and above a natural remedy, right? That's the first part of it, which I don't think is healthy. The second part of it, which I find even more unhealthy, is the mindset of trying to go over and above nature.
Yeah.
We're not bigger than nature.
We're not. We're just a component of it. You want a deep rabbit hole, though?
Yeah.
Looking to control over the food, and you understand why, production is the way it is, why certain agendas are pushed forward, why is there certain beliefs being followed right now by the masses. And if you look at where most of those masses that are following and falling into the hands of that deep rabbit hole, it's first world countries.
Yeah.
The third world countries, where they're left to do their own thing or haven't been intervened for their materials or whatnot, they know exactly what they need to do to be healthy.
Yeah.
The rest of the world are the only human animals that have no idea what they need to eat. What animal doesn't know what to eat? If you look in the animal world,
or not eat, or when to not eat.
Yeah.
Because every animal on the planet, when they're sick, well, they know to fast. They know to go without.
Right.
But humans, what we do is we say, Grandma gives us chicken soup, and we just eat your food, eat your food.
Yeah. And then take a pill.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Yeah. So it's pretty mind blowing. So give us some insights into your habits, your routines. What is your methodologies these days in terms of your exercise, your movement, and your diet as well? Give us the insights into that.
Yeah, sure. So it shifted actually a lot just a few weeks before coming on this podcast, actually. So to me, muscle is the organ of longevity. The more muscle you have, the more amino acid stores and marrow stores you have, and it's the last point of reserves if your body needs it. But to me, I don't want to be very big anymore. So I've been cutting down a little bit of weight and muscle as well. I'm already very lean, but I'm trying to cut a bit of muscle. I'm trying to be more explosive and more mobile. That's been my focus. I think having the mobility in the joints is key to longevity also for your spine and how everything moves and your nervous system. You lose mobility, your nervous system starts to work differently and it puts a strain on your organs. So now like my daily routines and ways of training and moving are I'm usually surfing nearly every day. That's a big love, as you saw, spending days we're frothing on that. Just like you, and you only started surfing
last year.
And like you know that just does that, right? Before he just starts surfing. I mean, epic, right?
Yeah.
And picking up really quick. Obviously, we had a proper skate park to learn on of a wave, didn't we? Macaronis. Yeah. Wow, what memories.
Yeah. That was fun.
And and then I'm just doing work in the morning because I work with people all over the world, so I try and get it all done then. And then when their times hit, then they message me back. But after that, I'm doing mobility training. I used to do calisthenics. I found the world of calisthenics was just like, look how strong I am, look what I can do at the expense of movements that aren't natural to the body.
So it became more about the tricks than it did the what was best for the body.
And what's best for the body.
Which is kind of like, I guess bodybuilding is the aesthetic version of that.
Exactly, yeah. It's so just empty.
I mean, I've been in that trap, for a long time. But back in the day when I started in the gym 20 years ago, the only thing that was there was you go into the gym and you pump iron and you push heavy weights, and there's a bunch of big dudes in there pushing heavy weights, picking up heavy things, and that's what I was indoctrinated into. But now I think young people are exposed to so many different methodologies, which is much healthier. Where do you think what do you think is the most healthy kind of way for humans to build a bulletproof body? And is it different for different people? Like some people, you used to do a lot of yoga and you don't do yoga now.
No.
So, but is that just for you? Do you think that applies to everybody? What's kind of consistent with the human body and what's different for different people?
I guess it's not about what you're doing, it's about what you're not doing. Don't think any system is complete. A lot of people that come to work with me or my partner in mobility and stuff like that is that they think they just do yoga and they're fine. And I have a lot of friends, like yoga has evolved a lot. I have a lot of yogi friends that are huge in yoga. They're very well known. And their main thing has been fixing broken yogis. These guys have done yoga for so long, got their own injuries, got their own issues, learned that there's weaknesses, and like myself, started combining other aspects and learning that nothing is complete on its own. Just how calisthenics, get strong all you want, but if you're not doing the mobility patterns for your body, you're going to get length to tension ratio issues, and you're going to break if you don't bend.
Even calisthenics or yoga is probably more complete than bodybuilding, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, bodybuilding is a good start for some people. But it's just like with the yoga. Yoga can be a good start for some people. But if you're not putting in the other practices, if you're just standing in front of the mirror, isolating your body, there's going to be issues. Yes, you're building muscle. You're building the organ of longevity. So you're going to help. And yes, you're going to help your metabolism. You're going to keep fat stores off your body. There's a whole host of benefits, right? Just like if you're doing just yoga, okay, you're going to lengthen certain parts of your body. You're going to get the lymph moving. You're going to get things flowing. You're going to bring stillness and focus, dedication to your mind. But I would say that still yoga, calisthenics is more rewarding than bodybuilding because you're learning a skill that can apply all over outside, and it builds more resilience, I guess. But then also bodybuilder, they can lift a lot of weight and they do become very strong. So their bones become denser, they can take more impact and things like that. But it has to be mixed, and this is what I'm seeing with the professional athletes I work with. What good is the best NRL player that's super explosive, can run 100 meters really quickly and then shoulder barge a guy out, and not take any damage, but then he pops his hamstring because it's so tight and he's got no mobility in a few ranges. So he should be doing the mobility work with that. Or, if he doesn't want to do mobility because he's already doing a lot of strength training, I guess some yoga or something like that,
So it kind of occurs to me that mobility is almost kind of the foundation, I guess, for a lot of things. Like
I wish I'd known that earlier.
If you were only ever going to choose one thing to do for the rest of your life, like you would choose just mobility movements.
Yeah, and I mean, it has to be, the right mobility has to be described here now. For anyone listening that just thinks that their mobility is stretching. That's what people think.
Yeah.
They think flexibility is stretching. No.
Yeah. Because, I mean, just to cut you off, you're a big dude. Like, I mean, obviously you've done a lot of work over the years, and you got that muscle kind of retention, I guess.
Yeah.
Same thing happens with me. Like, I haven't been in the gym this year.
You got the memory there, yeah.
If I go back in the gym, like, I put on 5 kilos in 6 weeks.
That'd
right?
be impressive, man. If a guy of your stature, I want to see that.
Because that memory is there.
Yeah.
But you're a big guy. People would look at you and go, okay, well, this guy's a bodybuilder. Right,
Yeah,
but you're
that's
not
common.
really doing hardly any.
I mean, they freak out when they see me on the beach doing loads of flips and stuff like that. And how's this guy flying off the air? But yeah. But I mean, with the correct mobility and calisthenics, the body weight stuff, you're going to build muscle. And mobility is not passive stretching. It's lifting weights to your end ranges, not heavy, but enough, and doing certain body weight movements that are putting your ligaments and nervous system under tension to open up that range and make that range strong, which means you're more resilient to injuries. And if you're just stretching or like yoga passively, you're lengthening the muscle, but it's got no strength for that range. So you keep going through that range, you offset another muscle, and then that starts to create issues, and then eventually your muscle pops or your ligament pops.
Or if you're just doing weightlifting like I used to do, it's like you
shorten it a lot.
You're exactly, and you're just isolating the bigger muscle groups, and then everything else around it just gets weak and weak and fall
then it
apart.
pops at some point. Exactly. Yeah.
Which is exactly what is.
So
what has happened to
bodybuilders
me.
as well. All of these people should be doing strength mobility.
Yeah. So give us a bit more insight into your what's your routines or your rituals around nutrition? Are you taking any supplements? What's your philosophy around supplements? Is that something you think people should be doing, or should people be getting everything from their food? What do you do, and what's your philosophy around that?
So at the moment, so after I've done my exercise, I usually train fasted. Sometimes, depending on how the fast pattern has landed, I might eat in the morning. And if I eat in the morning, it's very light. So for me, it's if it's going to be light, it's as simple as, pardon me, quite a lot of fizz to it, huh? Oh, I love it. Do you like it with the lime, by the way?
Yeah, I like it.
Nah, it's quite refreshing. Bacon, eggs, sausage, or sometimes I will have I'll have a bowl of raw meat. So I'll have like raw mince with like raw egg yolk, and I'll have maybe some halloumi just to add a bit of saltiness to it.
Yeah.
That would be like a breakfast, very light. And then I'll go and train 2-3 hours after that, after I've given my chance. Because it takes about 3 hours for you to begin a fast again, for you to digest.
Yeah.
And then I'll either then go and train, or after training I'll go and then I'll have a big meal. So I'll have like beef liver, bacon, eggs, or steak. And then dinner can be very simple. So I'm usually having about 2 meals a day today.
Yeah.
So if I have one meal for the day, it's usually about 1 kilo of meat in one sitting, or just more. But I only do that really. I did 3 months of that, where I did 1 kilo of meat once a day. Well, it wasn't even once a day. It was once every other day, because it was 30 hours without eating, one big meal, 30 hours, one big meal. And I tested my performance protocols on it. And it worked. Like the amount of growth hormone I got from that, and the amount of like healing I got from that.
Yeah.
I went from 190k deadlift to 250 kilo deadlift in 3 months, only lifting the deadlift once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
No training. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I tend to think that how humans used to live, it was not breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
No.
Like you eat whenever you can get it. Like if you're wandering around the bush and you find a fig tree, it's like you go up that fig tree and you eat everything in that fig tree.
Yeah.
In case in case a lion comes and tries to get you.
Yeah.
Right, and then you don't eat for 2 days, or until the next time you find, or you hunt something and then you eat that, and it's like it's done in bursts, right?
Yeah, well, that's a really good point. Enzymatic digesters. We're not meant for grazing. We're not grazers. We don't have, and I can go on that further as well, the differences between us and the animals we're compared to, especially from like the plant-based movement and such. But yeah, breakfast. Break the word down. Breaking the fast.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean eat your Weetabix at 6 a.m. as soon as you get up. So
that's just been indoctrinated into us by by people who are making money out of us, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, I got a lot to say on that too.
Yeah,
I don't know if we're ready for that.
Yeah. No, I'm happy to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up on all that stuff, and I mean, the thing that changed my health was I had a condition. I got really bad parasites. I got really bad parasites, and I had to go through some different cleanses, different fasting, etc. And what really kind of opened me up and surprised me was those things sound really difficult if you've never done them. Like to say, I'm going to go 7 days without food is like, nah, I can never do that.
Yeah.
Right? And then when you do it, you kind of go, okay, well, that sucked a little bit, but now what else? And I'm fine. In fact, I'm better off for it. I feel way better. So what else? What next? What else have I been told that, what else have I believed my whole life about what I'm consuming or the way that I'm living or the way I'm sleeping or whatever, which is not actually
legit,
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like everything that they tell you now, if you do the opposite, you're probably on the right path.
Yeah.
Follow nature.
I saw that on Instagram today. They start, they're blacking things out because it's like they're saying false information, right?
Yeah, partly
and it's
false
like,
information.
as soon as I see the blackened out, partly false information, I know it's going to be good. I know it's real.
Yeah, it's like, yep, click through that.
Yeah. So obviously this year 2020 has been a bit crazy, right? And it's a bit wild. It doesn't kind of affect me, right?
No,
because
we've just been surfing. Well, we're like surfing, getting on with our lives.
Yeah.
Which we're kind of blessed for that as well.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
we've made this happen.
Yeah, and I don't take it for granted, and not to diminish, the fact that people have been dealt a hard blow in different places, and I'm very lucky. But as you said, I created this circumstance for me to be in this lucky position, right? But one of the things I'm seeing is, look, we're a little bit disconnected here in Bali, probably from the rest of the world. Like, there's a lot of us here who are very much on the same wavelength of turning off the news, and we're in control of our own lives.
Turn it off. When was the last time you turned it on? Like, when was the last time you even saw any of that?
Yeah, and not at the mercy of what the government says. It's like we kind of live our own lives, and we seem to be disconnected from that.
Yeah, we search for it here, and this is why we're here.
Yeah, exactly. So, for people, what are you saying? Because you're obviously somebody who has their own thoughts and philosophies around what some might deem as conspiracy theories, and I don't want to go too much into not Jeffrey Epstein and this kind of stuff.
That's going crazy right now.
But certainly on the coronavirus and stuff, right? Like, I mean, do you have any? What are you okay to go there? Like, because you're a health guy.
Yeah, I'm okay to go there.
The COVID situation is supposedly a health matter, right? First of all, I actually think that what we're taught about viruses, something tells me it's not correct.
You're
right?
Very much on the spot there.
Now, I'm not a scientist, and I'm not an epidemiologist or any of these things, and I don't know anything. I'm not going to claim I know anything, but what I do know is that this human vessel has however many billion viruses in us at any one time.
We've got a virome, yeah.
And I feel like the situation of me getting sick from a virus is my body healing itself. The virus is healing me.
You're spot on in a lot of ways there.
But what we're told is virus equals bad, do not get virus, wear mask, get vaccination, do not catch virus, right?
Germ versus terrain theory.
Exactly. So give us your insights into that, because not that I'm not trying to convince people to believe anything but what I am interested in is how do people get control and power over their own health rather than listening to and relying on what experts, doctors, governments say. How do people get their own power back?
Let's just talk biochemistry then, because you can't argue with that. Biochemistry is not biased. And when you're like, I'm no epidemiologist or whatnot, that's the last thing you want to be. We have a running joke between us holistic coaches. We call it epidemiological, because it's not an epidemiology study is the grant to actually make a proper study. It's a questionnaire that creates a study. It's not really a study itself. like, I'll give a quick example before we get onto the virus thing, just so people really understand what this is. You get 300 people, and you tell them, we're going to pay you to come in on this day to this facility. You were going to take your blood, we're going to take some measurements, and then you're going to fill out a questionnaire. They know nothing about the people until they fill out these questionnaires. They take the questionnaire, it's all grouped up with their bloods and blah, blah, blah. The epidemiology will have a purpose. So they're aiming to find a correlation, not a causation. That's a big difference there. So then the people go away, and they can go away for up to 5 years without ever seeing the people that just did the questionnaire and tests for them, right? Then they come back. It's like, oh, it's time for you to come back. They come back up to 5 years later, fill out another questionnaire, get their bloods redone, and that's how they're getting their results. But is the person lying in the questionnaire? What was the person doing? You've asked them questions like, say, examples like of like red meat. How much red meat do you consume? But you haven't checked if they're drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, well, like what if the girlfriend doesn't like them eating red meat, so they lied on the questionnaire and
there's all of these variables, right?
Yeah.
And then they make a correlation from there. And if the correlation seems good, then they look for funding to start a clinical trial and whatnot. But a lot of these things just pushing those questionnaire-based answers, which there's no causation whatsoever. So this is what they're doing with like the virus stuff as well and nutrition. This is where the whole nutritional wars are coming from. So where we have viruses, bacteria, that's what we're predominantly made up out of. Now, very much like you were saying, a virus, when you feel a virus, you're not actually feeling a virus. You're feeling the results of your body telling you that you are broken down and immunely deficient and that it's trying to recover and replenish itself and stop the bacteria and virus from eating you from the inside because it's seeing that you're not fit for nature and to survive. And so the reactions you get aren't from a virus. They're actually from your body's own immune responses. Yeah. So, like, the thing that's funny as well, the human body's so clever. We can actually smell and energetically feel our immune systems. It's actually how we get to partners as well. Like, there's so many cases I've had of when I take women off of their birth control and regulate their hormones.
Well, I think most people understand that one, right?
They understand that one.
Most people understand that one,
and then their smell and how they react to their partner is completely different. Yeah. But our immune system's the same. So when people think like a few, like in schools or in groups of people, we all start getting sick, we're catching it from each other. No, it's not passed on like that. If you're immunely compromised at the time that other people are also immunely compromised, there's a reaction there that happens.
There's like a herd reaction.
It's a herd reaction that the body goes, well, actually, you're also immunely compromised. It's time for you to methylate and detoxify now. And a virus is actually, when it's forming to that body's response, like people say, oh, your mucus is really bad, you shouldn't have mucus in your body. Mucus is the first line of defense in the body, intestinally, nasally, and so it creates this mucus, and what it's doing is you're removing all of these old cells, all of these toxins out of the body. Yeah. And your body wants to do that seasonally as well. And all of these reactions, you only get to those reactions if you've gone time and time after time, not allowing your immune system to rejuvenate on its own. So it has the final straw. It goes, well, I'm so broken down now. Oh, here we go. And then you get sick.
Yeah, and I think this idea with the herd, like the way you're describing it is, that's going to be a very difficult concept for people to grasp. Now, I think this goes back to my point before. Humanity is so disconnected from nature. Yeah. We think that we're above nature, right? If we understood that we are nature, right, we would understand just how connected we actually are to each other. And like we look at things under a microscope and we see that how those things are interacting with each other, like on a microscopic level. Yeah. We think we're different to that. Yeah. No, we're the same.
It's like plants communicate that way. Plants are super intelligent. Yes. They're communicating through roots and systems and feeding each other. But one topic on this as well, because we are the same, and you're saying that people don't notice, but they do, but they're just not.
They're disconnected from it.
Because, for example, you get a pot of dolphins or fish or turtles, whatever, and they start getting sick. Do you go, hey, dolphins, what the hell are you eating? You need a vaccine. What's going on with your bodies? No. The question should be, who put crap in the water?
Yeah. What's going on with the water?
What's going on with the water?
Yeah. So the one that I say is if a flower is sick, You don't try to fix the flower.
No, it's
you
good
fix
on-
everything around it. There's the
Yeah.
air, there's the sun,
The
there's
soil.
the soil, there's, you know, the
And
nitrate levels. There's 1,000 factors which
Right.
affect the ecosystem in which that organism lives. But us humans, we don't think like
No,
that. We think,
But didn't
okay,
we learn that in high school? I'm sure we learned some of that in high school.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as humans, we think that that's not how it works for us.
No.
We think, oh, okay, I'm sick. Well, okay, there's an issue with my heart.
Or there's something coming out from there, you know.
I need to look just exactly here, rather than looking at the whole body and everything that is around me.
Yeah.
It's like this conversation around 5G, and I don't know if you want to go there.
Yeah, we
But
can.
my,
We can.
but
It's
my
a good
thought
one.
around 5G is, again, I'm not an expert, and I don't claim to be an expert. There's all this conversation around, there's always these fights, right? Like, scientists are saying 5G doesn't cause, there's no direct cause between 5G and whatever ailments they're looking at in the body.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying you will never, ever find direct relationship between 5G and a sore knee, a liver disease, whatever it is that you're looking for. 5G is just one of the elements which makes up a sick ecosystem, which makes our immune systems weak, and then the individual's body is going to be compromised wherever that is, wherever that is most weak, right? And for me, I'm not so concerned about 5G because I look after myself. I don't like the idea of it, but I know that me going surfing, me grounding myself, me eating the right foods, me doing all these things, it's not going to completely make me. It's not going to completely make it so that I couldn't have a weakened immune system, but I'm not scared about it because I'm kind of in control.
Yeah.
I like to think that I'm in control anyway.
Yeah.
And of course, there's only so far I can take that. Like, I'm not going to drink lead paint and think that I'm immune to getting sick or whatever. So of course I'm careful. I don't want 5G, but I think all this argument around this thing is bad for you and to me it's irrelevant. It's like it's all a pointless waste of time.
Why is nobody talking about, and it's the whole scam with the virus thing as well, why is nobody talking about the real things that make you healthy to everything?
Yeah.
Why is the talk about minerals, nutrients, proper food, avoiding this, avoiding that, eating this or eating that? This is where you can see it's a scam.
Yeah, I mean, it's been noted that deaths from COVID is like number 55 this year, right? In terms of number of deaths.
0.0 something percent.
And like how many people are dying from diabetes because they got a really bad diet? Like why is there not the effort to like the conversation and all the energy and all the financial investment into not investment,
it's
but
all going into 5G.
Exactly. And why are there not conversations around that?
Yeah, and it's crazy. With the 5G thing as well, 4G is bad enough. I mean, I wear like some little bits of like negative ions and things like that to try. I'm not kidding myself that this is protecting me that much. But if you're not earthing, rooting, if you're not depending on the clothes you wear, where you're spending your time, blue light as well. All of these things have a huge impact, and it's every time, and this is an interesting study, every time we've magnetized the earth for a different radio frequency, some animal, including humans, have gotten sick every single time.
So we're talking here about when a new
electronic
technology has come into play.
Yeah, like the sonar, things like that.
Yeah.
Every time it's come into play, there has been some kind of immune system breakdown, some kind of disease, some kind of issue in animals, in the wild and in human beings.
Yeah.
And what it is that these things are constantly penetrating our cells, like especially from Wi-Fi and things like that, constantly penetrating our cells and altering the way that the atoms are working. And the sad thing is that as you're immunely compromised and you're not rejuvenating properly, and you're not allowing your structures to reform at a quick enough rate, it's breaking you down.
Well, I mean, what happened in Italy was most of the deaths and issues from COVID was in the northern Italy, where it's one of the worst air pollution in the world from all the factories up there.
Bad diet.
Right? Bad diet. 5G is there.
Old people.
And aging population, and people are arguing about where, like people are dying from COVID. No, people are dying from COVID combined with all these other things that are going on in the ecosystem, which are compromising you, so that those people are getting affected by the COVID.
Yeah, and if you know COVID's spreading like that, it's like, no, the COVID is a genome of viral flus, and you already had that makeup to break down into that.
And if all those other elements didn't exist, well, then those things wouldn't happen.
It wouldn't happen. It wouldn't be there. It'd be healthy and thriving. But the scary one for me with 5G is the effect that it has when they concentrate it, because it's satellites now. And it has been shown that when you concentrate 5G in a particular area, the trees and the life around the trees dies.
Really?
And why do they die and drop out of the sky? Because they suffocate. It affects the molecules of oxygen and how we can absorb it in all living creatures. So even trees, things that are trying to absorb gases, they can't. And this is something that has been seen. And something makes me feel like this is actually a weapon they're making as well, because they can concentrate the beam of that frequency and that electromagnetic pulse. So that's more thought there as well.
Maybe you have to go back to the Mentawai Islands, and I don't think they'll be putting 5G out there anytime soon. So
I hope not, unless Brian's there complaining about it.
It's this has been really insightful, and obviously there's a lot of places we can take this conversation, a lot of rabbit holes we could go down.
There's not a rabbit hole, the rabbit hole.
And this is the thing about, like, when people talk about conspiracy theories, is the people who've are pointing fingers at conspiracy theorists. They can't wrap their head around. There's so many different things happening in the world, and their assumption is that all these things have to be linked together. It's like people are saying, like people are trying to combine 5G with COVID, and then they think, well, the 5G people are getting in bed with the COVID people, and it's like, no, it doesn't work like that. The analogy that I say is that I've been using is when a lion attacks an antelope, and then the jackal comes in and the hyena comes in. It's like, it's not like the lion got together with the jackals and the hyenas and they had a strategy meeting together about how we're going to attack this thing, and how we're going to share in the profit from this. It's like, no, the hyena's just doing its thing. It's coming in after the lion's done its job, capitalizing on the situation.
And that's what it is. There's so many nutcase superpowers out there in charge of things that we have very little control of, and they're just doing their thing. They're each just trying to make the most, utilize the most, and
So what then can if we're all fucked, then what can we do? Like, what can humans do to prepare themselves, or to live in that? Should we obviously there's the protecting of the body. I think we can.
Yeah, let's agree on that. I mean, the top priority for me that people should be doing is researching nutrition. Whatever nutrition you're researching that comes from a lot of money, that comes from companies that produce food, and I mean that even counts for industrial farming. Yeah, you want to look at biochemical stuff, but you don't want to be taking advice from big corporations or companies like Health Organization, Heart Association. You don't want to be taking your information from those.
But I mean, here's the example, right? Everybody knows that the breakfast cereal industry was a massive scam.
Big manipulation.
Right? It was massive manipulation. Now, everybody looks at that and goes, yeah, I know. That was a thing, right? But then they think that what's happening now, like if you were living in that time, you wouldn't have known. Yeah. You wouldn't have known you were being manipulated. Yeah. So
and now everyone has smart devices and knows.
And now there's other things happening. There's things happening like that. There's that manipulation happening in every generation. Yeah. So for people to think that is not happening right now is ludicrous.
Yeah. I mean, dead giveaway. If you got some billionaires that are into depopulation, don't give a crap about your health or pushing vaccines, but you look at what they own, and they own most of the synthetic meats or meat replaced, like Impossible Burgers. They own loads of plant-based companies and processed food and stuff like that, and they're taking over the seeds banks, and they're owning most of the monocropping. It's a bit of a dead giveaway that these guys are onto something more sinister. So why are you following their advice? They don't give a crap about you.
Yeah, and the thing
they just wanted the money, and they want to confuse you and indoctrinate you into thinking that you're doing something good for you, but yet their brothers and sisters are in the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah.
So it's a huge monopoly that they're doing there.
Yeah. And I think what you're saying around doing the research yourself, like study for yourself, because not only are you probably going to learn some things that maybe you've, been doing, it's something different to the way you've been living, right? It's like, oh, maybe I can do better. That thing, I feel now with my research that maybe that wasn't quite right. I feel now, and you get that through the research. But the other thing that does to me is it empowers people. It gives people back the control and the power.
Which they're trying to take away. They're trying to, make you dumb and just follow,
Yeah. And it helps open people's eyes and open their paradigms to what else is there, what else is happening, and then those people the ones who are taking that to the extremes, like, can really easily get shut down because it's like they get labeled as conspiracy theorists or whatever, right? But putting that aside, it's a really powerful tool for people just to have full control over what are you putting into your body. Are you living your life in a way that is congruent with 100% what the choices you are making based on your knowledge and your research, having done the proper research for yourself, rather than just following what everybody else is
and parroting a narrative.
Exactly. And what everybody else tells you, what your doctor tells you. I'm not saying don't listen to your doctor. I'm saying
they got their roles.
Listen to the doctor, go do your own research, and then decide what is right for yourself.
Don't be scared. I mean, so like, to that point, 3 things you should be studying and learning as priority. I think this is for everyone, and it should be in school. And that is how the human body functions, and other animals, and soil. You got to know all of these things, and then you understand how climate works, you understand how food works, you understand animal husbandry, you understand the human's role in nature. Other thing is history. Most people don't know the history of where they're born these days, or what's been going on, history of companies, history of wars, histories of conflict, history of people's movements. And then the other thing I find, legalese, sovereignty and commerce. If you don't look into legalese, sovereignty and commerce, which legalese is what the whole world is run by. So if you don't know how laws work, what is a scam, what's not, how to get around things, you're always going to lose the game. You're always going to be paying for certain things that you shouldn't be paying for. You're going to be doing the wrong taxes. You're going to be playing into the wrong laws. You're not going to know your rights. And people complain that, life's so unfair. Well, you're not playing the game correctly.
You're being taken advantage of.
And you don't even know why.
Yeah.
So,
No, this has been very, very insightful. And what I hope out of this is that it just inspires some people to ask better questions for themselves, right? And it's like, my thing is, and I know your thing is, it's not about trying to say that what my belief is right for any one person. All I'm encouraging people to do is just ask better questions, ask more questions, and then be able to decide for yourself, like weighing everything up. Because like the way I kind of look at the media is, it's like people are so like, they say left and right.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like this extreme or this extreme. The truth has got to be somewhere in the middle.
It's got
to be somewhere in the middle, right?
In the middle's not good, but it's also like in the middle, if you're in the middle, it's like not afraid to be wrong.
Yeah.
Do things not afraid to be wrong. Don't have an identity on what your food is or where you sit in that left or right. There's no identity.
Yeah.
You are a free-flowing human being, and you have the decisions to do things and learn from it and constantly change and evolve. So many people, like, they'll go down one way, they'll go left, they'll go right, or they'll go carnivore, go plant-based, and they're afraid to be wrong when they start doing things and it's not working for them.
Because it becomes their identity.
Don't make an identity out of this stuff.
And the vegans are the perfect ones, and I've got nothing against vegans. But in Australia, there was this thing, I think last year, and it was a massive thing on the news, and the vegans were parked out of this restaurant, and with the signs going,
I've seen a lot of that.
And it's like, you're not doing your cause any favors by doing that. You're just making people hate you.
No compassion there in what they're doing.
Exactly. Like, the way to introduce people to maybe eating less meat is to offer them some really delicious vegan food and say, hey, why don't you try this? Let's have a meal together try this, and then they go, oh, well, that's amazing, and then they might cut down their meat. Now, obviously, this is in the face of what you're talking about, but that's not the way to get people, because...
But it's the same with me and carnivore.
Yeah.
I don't go, meat's this, you got to do this, like that. I'm like, hey...
Because those vegans...
Look at the results.
Yeah.
Look at what we're doing. Does this interest you?
Yeah.
Have a go.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, have a beautiful day.
Yeah. Because those vegans, that's become their identity. That becomes their fight.
Yeah.
And like, I kind of have this thought. It's like, okay, if all of a sudden somebody invented a meat which didn't kill any animals, and all your argument about animal cruelty was to disappear, would you still have a problem with meat?
Yeah, would they still be virtue signaling?
Well, I think they would be lost, because all of a sudden all their argument and their identity is just like lost, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is hard on. I work with a lot of ex-vegans. I have nearly 500 ex-vegan clients now that I've rehabbed, and they're like 10, 20 years in, and they've fallen apart. And that's obviously another big subject as to why in the chemical sense. But a lot of them, they literally just got emotionally tied into a movement that they don't really understand.
Yeah.
You don't understand how your food's produced. You don't understand the nature of the human being. And you formed an identity of someone who fights for the right thing. But you don't even know where this movement comes from, who's actually arranged this, what are the corporations behind it, and what damage you're actually causing. So you're parroting narratives and what you're supposed to be facts with no further research. And this is the problem I have. This is why, like, when I travel the world doing lectures, before I even get into the chemical structures of nutrition, I have to talk about soil, I have to talk about animal husbandry, I have to talk about plants and how they're formed and where they come from, and the shipping and how it's not natural. Like, it's funny to think that this one machine that can be made in one location from just two components, a mother and a father, now needs things from all over the world that it couldn't get up until the last 10 minutes ago is required to survive and thrive. So look into it,
Yeah. And just FYI again, vegans, I love you. I got nothing, like, if people are making a choice based on them knowing what is right for them, and they've looked at all the options,
don't be pushy.
then great. That's awesome. Yeah. So look, we could talk forever, but one last question, or before we do that, let me just want to acknowledge you, because I think out of this conversation and what you're doing is you're opening up people to new ideas and helping them to explore different possibilities for themselves. So what we're talking about here,
unlearning, relearning from the ancestral ways,
like what we're talking about here with the we're probably being mean to vegans, but it's demonstrating how people become stuck in a certain way. Like, I'm keto, I'm the keto diet is the way.
There's carnivores like that
it's
as well.
The way.
It's like, what are you doing?
It's not the way. It's a way. And I think what you're doing by being so, you're in a extreme kind of conversation, right? The thing that you're mostly talking about is meat, carnivore diet, etc. That's the thing that you're known for. But what you're doing through that is you're opening up people's minds to different possibilities. Because I think what that does is, because people have gone from eating meat, right, to going, oh, now I'm vegan, right, and then all of a sudden it's like, if you're going to go back the other way, right, and somewhere in between, well, then you understand the full spectrum, right, and then you kind of working in this whole range, and you kind of go, oh, now I know, this works for me, it can all work for me, and I can experiment in that whole range and not be tied to any one particular way of thinking. And I think that's what you're doing in the big picture, is opening up people to that scope of what's possible.
That's exactly what we're trying. So I don't push, I let people come to me. Reason why I'm really doing this carnivorous relationship with food is because out of everyone around me and myself, we felt the best in terms of everything that we're looking for. And then, since working with disease, adapting this to work with disease, I've seen it eradicate faster. And it's funny because I've seen memes on some vegan pages is, I healed this and that eating just meat, said no one ever. And I actually know there's quite a few thousand of us that show different. And That's what I want people to see, is that if you're really stuck and you have issues, there are things you can try that doesn't cost you a lot of money, doesn't put you in the loop of pharmaceuticals and destructive patterns, that you can try. So don't be afraid to give it a try. If you've come to a conclusion that what you're doing is not working, try the other roads. And I don't advocate for people to be carnivore all their life. I think once you've done it and experienced it, you've got the healing that you need, and you found out what it feels like, you now understand your relationship to food and what you can do in that. And like for me, if I travel somewhere or I end up with people somewhere and there's a good food to try or something like that, it's not carnivore or whatnot, I don't have a mental illness where I'm like, oh, it's my way of being. No, I'm going to eat it.
Yeah.
I'm going to enjoy it, and then I'm going to remember.
Yeah.
But I'm going to carry on with what I feel best with.
And this is why I think it's important, because my experience with food in the last 5 years has been, I now feel really in tune with what is good for my body.
Intuitive,
right?
yeah.
I intuitively know that, okay, my body feels like eating meat. It needs meat, so I'm going to eat meat. Or there's times when, like, I just don't feel like eating meat for 2 weeks, and I just won't eat meat for 2 weeks. And I intuitively know. But I think the reason I do know is because I've been there, I've been here, and I'm not fixed. I'm not identifying with my in any one particular way. And I think this is what's good about what you're doing, is you're opening up to new ideas where people can have that experience, experiment with themselves, so that they can have that experience which I have, which is intuitively understanding what's right for their body.
I appreciate that greatly.
That's really cool. So one last question. Right. If you had a one-time superpower to have mental telepathy with every human on the planet, languages aside, you could implant a message into the minds of every human, what do you think that message would be? I know it's a deep question.
That is a deep one. Ooh, where would I go with this? What would I embed? So I'm going to embed a message to the whole world.
What would the message be to every individual in the world? Yeah, if you could just impart one last message in your life to everybody.
Oh, should have come prepared for this one, eh? Drop that one hard. One last message. Oh man, I've got a few messages that I want to instill.
Yeah, well, give us a few.
But it'd be to that life, everything about life, this, to experience it all, to not dedicate to just mastery in one thing and to expect mastery. There's no such thing as mastery. Something that I live by is that by the time I hit the grave, I want a piece of nearly everything that is there to experience. So I would say, go out there and experience as much as possible. Don't be tied to just one thing. I want to be that guy that when he's older, he's like, yeah, I've tried that, I've done that, I've done this, I've done that, I'm still doing that, still doing this, still doing that, rather than be like, yeah, I got to a very professional level at this one thing, and I was known for the best thing for being that one thing. And we're kind of taught in life to, to always be bigger and better at that thing and keep going and going and going. But I'll tell everyone, you know what, there's so much to life. Get outside and go see it and go do as much as possible.
Yeah, and what I hear in that also is some people I think are really good in one particular thing, but by experiencing so many other things as well, they can come back and bring those skills or those abilities to what their one thing is, and turn it into something new or turn it into something more exciting.
It makes life so interesting. Like the same thing like I learned, it's like, why am I gonna just slave away in the gym just to become good at this one thing and tune my body in that thing and then miss out on all of these things outside of life? Nah, I want to do everything. I want to experience, and I will say yes to most things and experience it before I make an opinion or an assumption.
That's awesome, man. So how can people get in contact with you? How can people find you? What's your preferred platform? Instagram, Facebook? Where can people follow you?
Instagram is the one, although I've been shadow banned and blocked on nearly everything because they don't really like what I say. Right. But Instagram, origins.nutrition is where... We'll
make sure everybody's got the link. It'll be on the screen. It'll be on the show notes.
That's the one where I post a lot of information. You can get links to my podcast on there as well, which we'll have to talk on as well. So I'll return a favor there. And then originsofvitality.com is my website, and that's more the professional stance. But the Instagrams where you can get a feel for who I am in the stories and message me. And
Yeah.
talk and see my highlights from all my client results, and look down my encyclopedia, I like to call it, my wall, my posts, and see all the information I've put out. And
Awesome. We'll make sure everybody gets the link. And if you're interested, definitely follow this guy. Dominic, thank you very much.
Cheers,
man.
It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.